What's going on, everyone? Dots Gaming here, and welcome to my video covering the upcoming vampire changes for the Greymoor chapter of the Elder Scrolls Online. For those of you who do not know, the vampire skill line in ESO is something that's traditionally been taken more for passives and doesn't have a whole lot of active skills to it. But with the upcoming Greymoor chapter, ZeniMax Online Studios wanted to undertake updating the skill line to feel like a more full-fledged skill line and give it a bit more personality, and they've done exactly that with this update. But we're going to cover what those skills and passives are today, as well as show some animations for them. Do keep in mind you're going to see a lot of pictures and only a limited amount of video, just because I am limited by what I'm allowed to actually show in this video here today. And I'm also going to have all tooltip numbers blurred out due to the request from ZeniMax. So just because those numbers have not been finished being balanced quite yet. So moving into our first skill, guys, of our brand new vampire skill line, we have Eviscerate. So Eviscerate's the base morph for the first skill, and it's you slice an enemy open, dealing magic damage, and this deals up to a % more damage based on your missing health, and this is going to cost Magicka. Now, our first morph of this skill is going to be Bloody Mess. Now, Bloody Mess has obviously the same tooltip, but the new morph is that it costs health to use instead of Magicka and will increase that bonus damage done. So that % damage done based on your target's missing health will be increased from this new morph. Now, our other morph is going to be Disembowel. Now, this will always be a critical strike if you cast it while under 50% health. So while you're below half HP, you're going to be getting that bonus damage quite a lot, and you're also going to be critting, so it can help make this skill a bit more bursty. So very interesting first skill. Our second skill is going to be Blood Frenzy. Now, Blood Frenzy is a toggle that costs health per second and is a kind of like a self buff. And you go into a Blood Frenzy, increasing your weapon and spell damage by a certain amount. And while toggled on, you cannot be healed by anyone other than yourself. So at least in my mind, I think that this can have a lot of applications in solo PvP instances. I think for giving you some big burst, some additional damage when you want it. And because you can still heal yourself, you know, it should work out pretty well for when you're solo. Now, our first morph of the skill is going to be Taste for Blood. Now, when you toggle this ability off, you heal for a portion of the health costs that you spent. So if you have this on for a long time and were able to heal yourself through it, if let's say you take a big smack or something and then you want to heal a big heal in a pinch, you can just re-click Taste for Blood and boom, you're going to get a huge heal based off of how much health you spent for having this buff toggled on. So very, very cool morph. Now, our other morph, though, is going to be the bit more risky one, and that is going to be Cold Blood. Now, every second that this ability remains toggled on, it will increase the bonus damage and cost by a certain percentage up to a certain maximum, so that it will cost more, but you're going to get more benefit. So it's a bit riskier choice here between the two, but you're going to get a lot more damage out of this morph compared to the other one. Now, our next skill is going to be what we have all seen before, Vampiric Drain. Now, I absolutely love the new animation for Vampiric Drain. Now, this drains an enemy's life force, dealing magic damage and healing yourself for a percentage of your missing health over time. This costs Magicka. It's a channel, as we know, and our first morph of that, though, is going to be a new one, Brain Drain. So Brain Drain drains an enemy's life force, dealing magic damage, healing you for a % of your missing health, and restoring Magicka over that channel. So the first morph will give a Magicka restoration, while the second morph is going to generate ultimate, just like we all know and love, Invigorating Drain. So this will deal magic damage, healing you for % of the missing health, and generating ultimate over that period of time. So that is still going to be there. We just have the old Minor Expedition morph ended up being replaced with the new Magicka Drain morph. Our next skill is going to be Mesmerize. So Mesmerize is a stun. It seduces all enemies in front of you, stunning them for X seconds if they're facing your direction. And this is a conal attack. So it's a very, very interesting to not have a nice new stun out of the vampire skill line. I know a couple of classes that could desperately need that. Now, we also have Hypnotize, which is the first morph. You seduce all enemies around you, stunning them for X seconds if they're facing your direction. So instead of being a conal attack, it is more of a circular radius with you standing in the center. And then the next skill we have is Stupefy. So what this does is enemies are snared after the stun ends. So it remains a conal attack in front of you, but there is a % snare applied to your opponent once that stun is over. Now our next skill is going to be Mist Form. I was worried that Mist Form was going to go away with the new update. Mist Form is one of my favorite skills, but it changed actually a little bit. If you're going to notice, it is a toggle. It is no longer a use it for X amount of seconds. When you toggle it on, it drains magicka every second, and you can keep this on until your magicka pool runs out. So you dissolve into a dark mist, reducing damage taken by X% as long as you maintain the channel, and entering this form removes snares, grants immunity to all disabling and mobilization effects, but you cannot be healed, and your magicka recovery is disabled. So like I said, it's now a toggle, draining magicka every second. So very interesting change to Mist Form. Now our next skill is going to be Elusive Mist. So Elusive Mist is still the way it's always been. Entering this form will remove snares and grant immunity to all disabling and mobilization effects, but you cannot be healed. Magic recovery is disabled, and you also gain a major expedition during this time as long as you maintain this channel. So it's going to be a very, very good skill for mobility. Now, I think Baleful Mist was what it was called, has been changed to something a little bit different, and that is now called Blood Mist. So while you are in this form, it's got the same, damage reduction and snare and immobilization immunity, and you can totally move unimpeded, no magic recovery, no healing. But while in this form, you deal magic damage every second to enemies around you, and you heal for the damage caused. So you're actually able to heal yourself through Blood Mist. You're not able to receive healing from other sources, but Blood Mist will still heal you. So you can use this form if maybe you don't want as much mobility, but you want to be able to reduce the damage and heal yourself if there are a lot of enemies around you or something. So very, very cool skill. Now, I know one thing that you guys have all been wanting to see is the new ultimate, and our base morph is called Blood Scion. So Blood Scion is a criminal act similar to a lot of the Necromancer skills, and this skill will transform you into a Lord of Night, instantly healing you to full health, increasing your maximum health, magic, and stamina by X amount for a certain period of time. And while in this form, you will heal for all percentage of damage that you deal, and you can see enemies through walls, which is pretty sweet. And the first morph, I know a lot of people are going to wonder, well, where'd bats go? It's attached to this morph, Bat Scion. So transform into a Lord of Night, like I said, instantly healing, increasing max health, stamina, and magicka by a certain amount for a certain period of time. And while in this form, you're going to heal for a percentage of all damage you deal, and you see enemies through walls. And bats will also swarm around you, shred enemies that come close, and dealing magic damage every X number of seconds. And like I said, this is our ultimate. It will last a certain period of time. And this still, I think, is a good idea to kind of maintain the bat skill that I know a lot of people knew and loved. And still having it, I think, attached to a morph of the new Scion is a good way to incorporate a new skill while still keeping the old one as a part of the game. And now the final morph of this ultimate, and what's going to round out our active skills, is Night Scion. So Night Scion will basically do the same thing as the base morph and the other morph, except for instead of bats, we now temporarily ascend to Vampire Stage 5, which will grant all the benefits of Vampire Stage 4 with none of the drawbacks. Now, the Night Scion skill is the perfect segue into covering what our stages are for feeding, as well as the various vampire stages and how this is going to work. Now, feeding is going to work a little bit differently in Greymoor than it has in ESO for quite some time. Feeding is going to increase your power as a vampire as opposed to satiating your hunger for blood. Right now, you kind of over time go up to stage 4 and you feed to go back down to 1. This is now going to be the opposite. You have to feed up to stage 4, and over time you will slowly stage down. So reading the tooltip that you have from the passive, the new feed passive allows you to feed on an unsuspecting target, killing them and increasing your vampire stage. Higher stages make you a stronger vampire at the cost of your humanity, and stages will decrease over long periods of time. So the 4 things that we have from staging up our vampirism are health recovery. Health recovery will decrease the more we stage up. We will take more damage from flame attacks as we stage up our vampirism. Our vampire abilities will cost less as we stage up our vampirism. And a new pass is that your regular abilities will cost more. And just to clarify, this is also not like exclusive to being in Scion form. At all times, your abilities will cost more the more you stage up your vampirism. Now, our next passive is going to be Dark Stalker. You ignore the movement penalty of Sneak, and you decrease the time it takes to enter Sneak by a certain percentage. The next passive is going to be Strike from the Shadows. When you leave Sneak, Invisibility, or Mistform, your spell damage is increased by a certain amount for a certain period of time. We also still have Undeath, which now works a little bit differently now, where you reduce the damage taken by up to a certain percentage based on your missing health. Note that this does not require now a certain percentage to start. This will start from full health, but you must be Vampire Stage 3 or higher in order to get benefit from this effect. Just like from Strike for the Shadows, you needed to be Stage 2 or higher to get that effect. The next passive that we have is Unnatural Movement, which requires you to be at Vampire Stage 4. It reduces the cost of sprint by a certain percentage, and if you continuously sprint for a certain period of time, you automatically become invisible, which is pretty interesting. Really, really big fan of this passive. I think it's very cool. Now, finally, guys, I made sure to take some pictures of the new Vampire Stage appearances. This is going to be what Vampire Stage 1 looks like. We then have Stage 2. Stage 3, and finally, Stage 4. But guys, that is going to be it for me today, covering the vampire changes upcoming with Greymoor. Let me know what you guys think about these changes in the comment section below. What do you guys think? What do you like about these changes? What do you dislike about these changes? I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys liked this video, like this coverage of the upcoming new changes to vampirism in Greymoor, please smack a like on it. And to keep up to date with the content I post here on my YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as hit the bell to keep the notifications on. I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching my video today. Thank you very much. As always, I'm Dots Gaming. I'll see you all in the next one.